Hello, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to you all on the fifth day of fifth batch of Executive Development Program. My sincere gratitude to ICAI President, CA Nihar Jambusaria sir, ICAI Vice President, CA Dr. Devashish Mitra sir, ICAI Acting Secretary, CA Dr. Jay Kumar Batra sir, and Central Council members. We are here at Committee for Members in Industry and Business under the leadership of Central Council member CA Hansraj Chuk sir, Chairman of the committee, and Vice Chairman of the committee, Central member CA Durgesh Kabra. We started this series on April 21st, 2021, which was for our members, our young qualified, those who qualified in January 2021, and this has continued. This is the fifth batch in the series for November 2018, and we have many participants, those who qualified subsequently. The last batch of the series, we will start sixth batch on June 22nd, which will run until June 28th. We sincerely thank you for your appreciation and positive feedback, which has made possible this series a great success under the vision of Chairman C. Hansraj Chuk sir and Vice Chairman C. Durgesh Kabra sir. Today, we are blessed to have P.A. Patabi Ram, who is based out of Chennai. Patabi sir does not need any introduction, but 4 lines I would like to read. He is a chartered accountant from our institute and is part of a public accounting firm, Yoganand and Ram. Widely known as an author, public speaker, and teacher. His recent book is titled Beyond 2020, 25 Happening Careers and Accounting and Finance. Patabi sir, we are blessed to have you here today. And I think even though we have participated in some programs together, I have been there where you had presented in Dubai, in other GCC countries, recently in Muscat. I would like to share one small story of myself. You know, when I had appeared in my November 2006 first attempt finals, I was not very sure if I will pass or not. And in fact, I did not want it to pass at that point of time because I wanted my study in some subjects to be stronger, like strategic financial management was one of those. So 10 days before the result was to be announced, I went to Delhi to buy some books where I bought your book of strategic financial management because it was not available in my city, Dehradun, at that point of time. And when the result came, I passed. And after 6 months, I moved to UAE and I carried very few books, just 2 or 3, and your book was one of those books. Because I wanted to study and make my subject stronger. But when you move here as a bachelor, you have a lot of pressure of work. You also want to enjoy. And not much of the concepts were needed for me. So I didn't go back and went to study. But when I moved to another organization here, I had a Pakistani colleague who had a couple of papers left to be passed. And I gave him your book. And he appeared in the examination and he passed the papers later. When he passed, I told him, please return the book. He said that, yes, when we are meeting, we'll return. It has been 4 years now. The book hasn't come back to me. But I would like to, I have shared this story in Middle East Africa to so many leaders. And today I think it's the best time to share with you. Thank you so much for the difference which you have made in the lives of large number of our students, members all across the world. Sincere gratitude to you. very thankful that you accepted the invite to become part of this series. And with this, I request all our participants to please give a big virtual round of applause to CA Punjabi sir. And sir, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep, for those very kind words. To anyone who writes a book, I think that's one of the best accolades that one can hope to get. Thank you so much. Good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, who have joined in this fifth batch of the Executive Development Program. It's a pleasure to talk to all of you from remote. I think the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, as we have all chosen to call it, has been catastrophic. It's destroyed economies, killed careers, created a lot of pressure on one of the best working professional force, the profession of medicine. And most importantly, it has made many of us wonder as to how the future will pan out for all of us. If at all there is a time in the history of humanity when people have begun to ask themselves, will I ever be happy? Then I think this is the time. People have lost near and dear one, the way soldiers are lost in an army, as the whole world gets ready, the whole world has gotten on to fight this virus. I'm sure at some point in time, not too far in the future, both the profession and humanity will win over this invisible virus. Today we are going to try to talk about sustaining happiness. It's a talk that I've made across different cities, cutting across countries, and what I intend to share with you today is largely going to be similar to what I've shared elsewhere. I have a PPT deck that I'll put up, but before I do that, I would like that each one of you have a piece of paper and a pencil by your side, or even a mobile notepad would do. I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things, seated right there, wherever you are. I want you to write on that piece of paper as to what is the level of happiness that you have now at this point in time, 4:30 Dubai, 6 p.m. India, 16th of June, 2021, how happy you feel. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being least happy and 10 being most happy, I want you to put out a number.
Yes. Request all of you, those, please put a number on the chat box and I'll read it out for sir.
No, Pradeep, I don't think that's required in this case. So long as they put it on a piece of paper, it's fine. If they put it out there, that's also okay. But I would like to treat that as confidential for them.
Okay, fine.
If you guys have done that, I'm going to tell you something now. I want each one of you to close your eyes, maybe for 60 seconds. I'll speak to you. I'll tell you to do something. Do that even while your eyes are closed. I hope all of you have closed your eyes. It's very important to do this in order to understand what follows. With your eyes closed, I want you to imagine, I want you to think that moment which was the happiest moment in your life. It could be the time when you passed your chartered accountancy exam. It could be the time when you got your first promotion. It could be the time when you got married. It could be the time when you had your first child. Whatever. Next 30 seconds, just imagine that. Now, you can open your eyes. I'm sure you've put out, I now want you to put out a number between 0 and 10, or 1 and 10, 1 being least happy and 10 being most happy. If you've done that, I'm sure that that number in the past can just not be greater than the number that you have today. Our objective, our medium-term objective, is to move from the number that you now are. For example, if on a scale of 10, I'm now at 6, I need to move from 6 to where I once was when I was happiest, maybe 8.5, say. So in the medium term, my objective would be to move from 6 to 8.5, and perhaps in the long term, move to a number that I wish could be 9, 9.5, whatever. Can we do that? Is it possible? And that's what I intend to answer. The internet says that there are 90,000 different ways that can make people happy. I'm going to talk to you about 3 of them. I'm going to talk to you about 3 of them, what I call the 3 models of happiness. And I'm sure beginning today or early tomorrow, you can start practicing them. And once I've talked to you about the 3 models of happiness, I'll close out by telling you what I think are the 6 F's, the 6th letter in the English alphabet, the 6 F's of happiness. But ahead of that, before I do all that, I want you to take a look at this picture that is coming up on the monitor screen. And when you see that, I want you to put out on the chat box, what is it that you have seen there? Pradeep, you can read out a few things if they have come out. Pradeep, I can't hear you. Are you speaking?
Sorry, sir. Yeah, sorry. I just realized my mic was, I was on mute. It may take a minute
Okay.
for the responses to come.
Okay.
Yes.
The most obvious answer. All right. If there aren't many responses, let me move on.
Yes.
That, as you know, is a picture of a bunch of students in a school.
Right.
Okay. Any responses that have come in?
Not yet, sir. Not
Okay.
yet.
That's a picture of obviously a school. There is a teacher right in the middle. There are a few girls to the left and a few boys to the right. Okay? One of them is someone who you either know or who you have met today. One of them is me. I'll spot it out for you. Before that, in case somebody can spot it out, they can put it out there. Then I'll try to tell you what I have in mind. Okay? I'll move on. I'll keep telling. And if somebody spots it, they can put it out there. I don't think I could ever forget that day. The day this picture was shot, the teacher of ours, the class teacher of ours, in the morning asked students as to what is it that you want to do when you grow up. One guy put his hand up and said he wants to become a doctor. Today, he is a well-known intervention cardiologist who works in London. Another person said he wants to be an engineer. Today, he's part of the senior management team in one of India's top construction companies. I will therefore not name him. A third person said that I want to become a cook. What he actually said was that he wanted to become a chef. I understand that today in the western part of India, she appears on television and does a and gives out, like what Sanjeev Kapoor does, gives out recipes or inputs in terms of how to cook. The teacher then turned to me and asked me, what is it that you want to become? I was quiet. I was a shade tongue-tied. He asked me a second time, what is it that you want to become when you grow up? And I told her, Miss, I want to be happy when I grow up. She didn't get what I said. Maybe I also didn't get what I said because I was extremely happy at that particular point in time. And she said, well, that's all fine, but what is it that you want to do when you grow up? I said, Miss, I want to be happy. That evening or that afternoon, he wrote in my report card, and I have the card still with me, this guy is very good in English, very good in Hindi, very good in mathematics, pretty good in science, very, very good when it comes to history, civics, geography, etc. But this guy has absolutely no idea as to what he wants to do in life. I repeat what she said. She said, this guy has absolutely no idea as to what he wants to do in life. I think, with the advantage of hindsight, I could perhaps tell you now, or you would perhaps realize now, that maybe unintentionally, maybe accidentally, I was right and the teacher was wrong. Nobody today goes to bed in the night telling God, hey God, tomorrow morning when I wake up, let me wake up in misery. Today, when young boys and girls want to become doctors, want to become engineers, want to become lawyers, want to become chartered accountants, want to become politicians, want to become scientists, they're all paths to happiness. Happiness is a journey. Happiness is work in progress. Happiness is not destination. That's the first part of what I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell you that it's everybody's dream to be happy. I'll now move to the second part. Pradeep, do we have any notes on the chat box? Okay.
Yeah, we have a response regarding the question which you asked to identify. Ranjan says that fourth from left.
Ranjan is right. Ranjan is right. Bang good. That's where it is. All right.
Yes.
I'll now move on. I'll try to talk to you about what I call the models of happiness. When I grew up, and I'm sure that's what it is today as well, the best and brightest boys, the best and brightest girls wanted to do engineering and then go to IIM. Or they wanted to do chartered accountancy and then go to IIM. All of us thought that, hey, look, the moment I get into IIM, my life is made. Because that's the passport to a top-class job. When I come out of the IIM, I will be, what should I say, socially far more acceptable. I will be terribly happy. We hardly realize that when you get into IIM, there are new goals that crop up. Scores or grades that you have to get in the classroom, fight for placement, fight for top GPA points, grade point average, etc. We did not realize, perhaps at that particular point in time, just as many perhaps today do not realize that IIM, or for that matter today chartered accountancy, is only a ticket, entry ticket into the world in which we'll endeavor to become happy. Then there are some of us who tell ourselves, if only my boss Or if only I had a better boss, then I would do better at work. I once had a friend of mine who actually came and told me, if only my boss has a heart attack tomorrow, life will be great for me. I said, for you, life to be great, why should that guy have a heart attack? In just as earlier, many years ago, I asked somebody, for life to be great, why should you actually get into the Indian Institute? There are many of us who tell ourselves that if only I can go on that holiday to Zurich, which is from where that pic is picked up, if only I can holiday at Zurich, I'll be extremely happy. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If we walk this unfortunate path of if-when, we will never ever be happy. If we tell ourselves that if this happens, then I will be happy, it won't happen. If you think that happiness lies at the other side of success, or success lies on the other side of happiness, sorry, you're wrong. Let me give you an example. Watch this. And you can put out what you see there on the chat box. What is the one thing that hits you big time? You see a clean road. You see greenery around. You see a house there. You see mountains. What else do you see? You also see a rainbow. And very often when we see a rainbow, we think that that is beautiful, which in fact is. But have we ever told ourselves that if that rainbow was 1 inch to the left or 1 inch to the right, it would have been more beautiful? I don't think we ever told that. We enjoyed the rainbow. We celebrated the moment of happiness. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brings me to the end of the first model, the model where I tell you, the rule where I tell you that it's important to accept the world as it is. We cannot live in a if-then model. We need to accept the world as it is. I am not by any stretch of imagination suggesting that you should not be aspirational. I would be the last person on earth to say that you should not have goals. I would be the last one to say that you should not be aspirational. But I don't think, and forgive me my saying this, but I don't think we have taken a mandate to change the world. I don't think we can change the world substantially. We need to modify things that are in our control, then break our heads over things that are not under our control. If you recognize that fact, that you need to accept uncontrollable things as they are and work around things that are controllable, you will see a lot of happiness in life. I'll move on to rule number 2. I'll tell you a story. I call this the spaghetti sauce model. This is the longest story, but I will try to tell you this longest story. This story goes back to 1980s. There were 2 sauces. One was Prego, the other was Ragu. These sauce were used on spaghettis. They were spaghetti sauce. Spaghetti is another word for pasta. There was a company called the Campbell Soup Company which made Prego. And while Prego was the better product, for example, if you pour the sauce on the spaghetti, if it is Prego, it will stick on the spaghetti. If it is Ragu, it will flow over, which means that Prego had better tardiness, better stickiness, or better adherence. Not only that, Prego also tasted better. Notwithstanding the fact that Prego tasted better, Raghu was the market leader. And there was just about no way that Prego could overtake Raghu. So what the mandarins at Prego did was that they called a man called Hari Moscovitz and asked him to find out why Prego was not leading the pack. And Moscovitz did something. Okay? Moscovitz did something. He made 45 different variations of the two products. He broke them up by sweetness. He broke them up by tartness. He broke them up by sourness. He broke them up by visible solid. And then he did one thing. He went to the outside world and invited anybody who was willing to come to a town hall, taste one spoon of ragu, taste a few spoons of these ketchups, broken up by 45 different variants, and to rank them from 1 to 10. Okay? So there were no preconditions laid out. He just broke them up, kept small bottles from which people tasted, and they identified what was the pecking order. At the end of 6 months, he broke those 45 items, or he broke those 10 items, which were top ranked, into 3 categories. And he said he broke them into sauces that were plain, sauces that were spicy, sauces that were extra chunky. And unlike what you and I as accountants would have done, he didn't run any financial model. He didn't run any modeling to say, hey, this is the best product. He didn't say out of these 45 variations, this is the best. All that he did was that he went and told the mandarins at Prego who had invited him to run this test. He said that there are 3 categories that people like. 33% of America likes it plain. 33% of America likes it spicy. 33% of America likes it extra chunky. The board was stumped. He said, what? Does America 33% like things that are extra chunky? He said, yes. That question was asked primarily because in America's supermarkets, extra chunky sauces were not produced and sold. They were plain, they were spicy, there were various other categories. And they asked him, are you trying to say that we have not read the market properly, that there are 33% people who like extra chunky sauce and we don't make it? Markowitz said, yes. Prego went back to the drawing table. They made sauce that was extra chunky. And across the next 10 years, they made millions and millions and millions of rupees. This is not a story that I have invented from thin air. Google for it, you will get the story. But the moot point is, what is the moral of this story? That brings me to my second of the 3 rules that I talked about. The moral of the story is that we need to embrace diversity if we want to be happy. We cannot say, hey, look, this is the best product. We cannot say, hey, look, this is the best employee. We cannot say, hey, look, this is the best person in my organization. All kinds of people make an organization. There are some guys who are extremely good at numbers. There are some guys who are extremely good at wordplay. There are some guys who are extremely good at marketing. There are some guys who come from different social, cultural, economic backgrounds. There are different people who come with different beliefs, different mindsets. As an organization, beginning tomorrow, you must, if you have not, embrace. Happiness is not like this. I don't know what to call it. Happiness is not in a vertical plane. It's not that I have 1 car, so if I have 2 cars, I'll be more happy. If I have 3 cars, I'll be more happy. If I have 4 cars, I'll be more happy. No. Happiness is actually like a horizontal plate. Okay? There are many things that give people happiness. You can become happy if you have a lovely home. You can you can be happy if you have a lovely car. You can be happy if you have a lovely job. You can be happy if you have a lovely qualification. There are many, many things that can make people happy, and you will have to search for them. Don't therefore chase one thing, because chasing one thing may not necessarily make you that much more happy. I want you to take a look at this.
Stop to stop life. हो सकता भी और इसीलिए कहते हैं कि गेंदबाज को stop to stop life.
Now you might be wondering as to what is it that I was trying to say. Now this was a WhatsApp video that was doing the rounds 3 years ago. You saw the smile and the laughter on those young minds. To you and I, it looks so very stupid. All that I'm trying to say is that let's not get judgmental. Like I said, different things make different people happy. Let's recognize that and move on. I'm now going to go to my third and last rule, and then I'll talk to you about the 6 F's of happiness. And after that, if there are any questions, I'll take them. This again is a long story. I will have to tell you the story. I call this the tyranny of choice. I love jeans. It's another matter that today's platform is called blue jeans. It's accidental. I love jeans. As a hostel mate of mine once said, the greatest thing about jeans is that you just don't have to wash it. And if you live in a hostel, you know how important not washing is. You can wear it for endless number of years and then one bright morning get sick of it and throw it. 4 or 5 years ago, I went to a mall in Chennai to buy a pair of jeans. Until then, somebody always used to buy this for me. That was the first time I walked into a jean shop. For first time I walked into a clothes shop and told the guy, look, I want to buy a pair of jeans and this is my waist size. He stared at me. And the first question that he asked is, sir, do you want slim fit? Do you want easy fit? Do you want relaxed fit? I just did not understand what the hell he was telling. Because in the days that were bought for me, I just used to give my weight size. So I said, hey, this is my weight size. Get me based on that. He said, no, you must tell us which one of these 3. And since I have progressed in age after my chartered accountancy, I said, okay, maybe relaxed fit should be good. So I told him, all right, give me relaxed fit. This is my waist size. He said, sir, hold on. Do you want zipper fly or do you want button fly? For a moment, I did not understand what he was saying. And then it dawned on me what was a zipper and what was a button fly. My math mind, or maybe my accounting mind, suddenly told me that, look, there are now 6 combinations. 3 into 2, 6. To me, that did not make sense to buy button fly. So I told him zipper fly, get me relaxed fit, zipper fly, dash inches weight. He said, sir, hold on. Do you want stone washed or do you want acid washed? I was by now sick. I did not understand what he was saying. And then it struck me. No, there were times, at least in some parts of India, where you wash clothes by banging them on a stone. So I thought, okay, let me pick up one of them while I'm not going to wash it. So I said, okay, get me acid washed. My accounting mind already told me that there are 3 into 2, 6 into 2, 12 possibilities. I had chosen relaxed fit, zipper fly, acid washed, and said, hey, look, now job is over. No, job wasn't over. Guy said, do you want bottom cut or bottom taped? I said, give me whatever you like. He said, no, sir, you will have to tell me. So I said, okay, get me bottom cut. Now you realize that there are 3 into 2, 6 into 2, 12 into 2, 24 choices. When I finally walked out of the shop, I might have possibly bought Perhaps I had bought the jeans in a much better way than how I would have bought 15 years ago when I had just to go and tell my waist size. But 15 years ago when I went and bought a jeans of what I called a waist size, and I came back home, if my mother said that, look, that's not looking good, I had to just turn around and say, well, but that's the only type that is available. Today, if somebody says that this is not good, I am responsible for it because I made a choice amongst 24. What I am trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is that choice can lead to tyranny. If you saddle yourself with multiple choices, both in life and in the workplace, you will not pick happiness. Restrict your choices, cut them down to smaller quantum, and then quickly make your decisions. Because today, the judgment or the decision is on you. I'll take a few minutes to talk about what I'm going to put out next. And I'm talking about this primarily because we are today in the midst of a huge worldwide pandemic where the medical profession is playing a stellar job. I don't want you to misunderstand. I don't want you to think that I'm taking a dig at the medical profession. There is something called the patient autonomy. Why I tell you this is that because I'm not very comfortable with too many choices, and I believe the lesser the choices, the better it is for the individual to be happy. Today, when you go to a doctor, and God forbid a treatment has to be done, the doctor tells you, this is treatment number 1, this is treatment number 2, which one do you want to select? He tells you these are the pros and cons of treatment 1, these are the pros and cons of treatment 2. I have had occasion to meet doctors. Many of these doctors are pretty well known to me. So once I told the doctor, but doctor, you have to decide. He said, no, that's not how it is done. You have to decide. I said, if you were me, what would you do? He said, unfortunately, I am not you. What I'm now trying to drive at, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is that in a matter as important as this, a choice is being transferred to a person who A is not, what should I say, competent enough to decide, and who is not even healthy enough to decide. But because that is the way it works, many in the medical profession do that. This is just to give you an idea about how choices are not good. It's always good to let the experts decide. Tomorrow or today when you run an organization, maybe as a COO or a CEO, if you're inviting an external expert to help you decide something, go by what he says. Do not pick and choose from what he says. If you do that, you'll be happy. I'll quickly recall the 3 things that I said. I talked about the rainbow model. I said if you get into this business of if, then, you will never be happy. I also told you about the spaghetti sauce model. I said it's important that we recognize to embrace diversity. It's important that we realize, understand, and appreciate that there are various things that make people happy. I also said the lesser the choices that we create for ourselves, the better it is. I'll now quickly move to the last lap of my talk. I'll talk to you about what I think are the 6 F's of happiness. Fame is an important ingredient of happiness. People will tell you being famous is unimportant. No, don't believe them. If you're famous, if you're well known, if you're well recognized, whether in the world or in your country or in your state or in your profession or in your organization, that brings you a sense of happiness. Fortune is a source of happiness. Money is a source of happiness. Many of you will tell you the story that money is unimportant in life. I would be the last person to say that money is the most important thing in life. But I also believe, like many people do, that there are things that money can do which other things can't. There are enough and more studies that have been done in the world today which says that people who have money may not necessarily be very, very happy, but happiness can be sourced to fortune. If at all the global pandemic has told us anything today, as people begin to face mounting healthcare bills, as people begin to try and lead a life that is pre-pandemic with a salary structure that is post-pandemic, people understand the importance of money. The third F to happiness is family. If you have a supportive family, if you have a family which is joyous, which brings you a sense of joy, then that is the third F to happiness. If you have friends on whose shoulders you can cry, and I'm not talking about the 5,000 odd friends that you might have on Facebook or the N number of followers that you have on Twitter. I'm saying that, as Winston Churchill said, if you can count your 3 a.m. friends, the guys to whom you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they won't ask you why are you calling them, and if you can weep on their shoulders, or if you can excitedly talk to them at 3 a.m. in the morning, your life has been absolutely well lived. The fifth F of happiness is being fit. This is the time more than ever before that people recognize how important health and fitness is. None of these 5 I have made up for today's presentation. All these 5 are what I've been talking for the last 3 years. Last but definitely not the least, if the future looks hopeful, if the future looks good, then people are happy. Denmark is the happiest country in the world, and people in Denmark tell the world that they are happy because they are fit. They are happy because they are well educated, which is an indicator that they will have a good job lifelong. I'll close out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, by summarizing what I told you. I'll rewind. I began by telling you that it is the goal of every individual to be happy. Like I said, nobody goes to sleep in the night praying to God that I must wake up unhappy. Being a CA, being a doctor, being a lawyer, being an engineer is a path that should ultimately lead to happiness. But more importantly, happiness is a path. It's not a destination. I also said that if you want to be happy, you need to accept things as they are. While you must be aspirational, there are no two opinions about it. You should not bog your head down with things that are not under your control. I said embracing diversity, realizing, recognizing, and understanding that different things make different people happy. Multiple things make you happy is the second step towards happiness. I also said that the third rule, the secret to happiness, is less choice and lowered expectations. I intend to close out by telling you that fame, fortune, family, friends, fitness, and future are the 6 F's to happiness. I wish you a very, very happy life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Patabi sir. I would request our second speaker, Satyamurthy, if he is there, you can also ask some questions. We'll take the opportunity. We'll give you also an opportunity. So I would like to ask you one question from my end. Before some questions come, that you have written so many books, biographies, novels. So normally, I understand that what we may write recently may be the closest to us. But if you can answer that, what has been the most close book where you have felt much more happier writing it? in so many books you have written, novels and biographies?
That would be an absolutely difficult question to answer.
Yeah, I understand.
I,
Yeah.
I have always loved writing. Long before
Yeah.
I really started writing textbooks or self-help books or novels or non-fiction, I've always liked to write. If I was bogged with anything, the best thing that I would do is I would sit and write. I used to write for magazines and newspapers. I still remember an editor who once asked me, how much time does it take you to write this piece of 2,500 words? I told her it
Right.
takes me 60 to 90 minutes to complete it, maybe 30 minutes to write the first draft and another 40 minutes to finish. He was stunned. She said, but it takes us a lot of time. I told her, that's possibly true because that's your job. For me, this is not my job. For me, this is something that I do because it makes me enormously happy. And I do not know whether I can tell you this. I wrote an entire novel on this. Okay? On this. I don't know whether I can tell you, but in Chennai, most people think that I'm the only guy who texts in a classroom. Okay? While people are working questions, I am often found on my mobile. It irritates a few people, I do know, but they don't realize that I've actually been working at the same time. And one of the books was written almost 50% on the mobile in the classroom. So what I'm trying to tell you is that every book gives a sense of happiness. I would like to possibly believe each book has a different audience. Each book has a different audience. A textbook, obviously, from what should I say, from a long-term perspective, it gives greater happiness because if someone like you comes back and says that, look, this book I read, this is what propelled me to write the exam. And if a friend from another part of the world comes, the Pakistani friend tells, well, these are things that make people extremely happy. So it would be very, very hard to pick which one would make one the happiest. But I think the first book that I wrote called Roadmap, I think is really near error proof. And I don't think I will forget that. There are a couple of incidents associated with it, which I don't think I can narrate here because we don't have time. And I think the book on strategic financial management was also, I think, very, very helpful because it involved transferring what you had in your head into the book.
Right.
And it was also possible largely because my good friend Mr. Bala worked on it really hard.
Yeah,
So I think
that books are
books I will share.
Yeah, that yours strategic financial book, when I used to hear in the market, it used to be told as a self-help book where you don't need anyone to teach you, where once you read it, it will go into your head, as you said, that, that was with which it was famous. And that was a great thing when the resources were so limited. I would say now we have so many resources available and things are changing. Mr. Satyamurthy? Sir, Mr. Satyamurthy Ramanujam, he is our second speaker. He is in Chennai right now. He recently moved from Kuwait. So, and he is a very good speaker, very good humor speaker. Satyamurthy, please put some question to Patabi sir.
Sir, any new book you're working on right now, and are your books now available on Amazon Kindle?
All except the SFM textbook, the rest of them are available on Kindle. No, many of them are available on Kindle.
Yeah.
There are multiple books that I'm working on. One of them is about graduates. There is another book on which I've signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I am compelled not to give you out the name, but it's scheduled to come in 2022, and I'm sure you will like that. It's a book about a corporate. Right now I'm working on a book for graduates. It's called tentatively it is titled, it's a joint effort, it's tentatively titled The Post-Pandemic Graduate.
Wow. Yeah, it will throw some interesting insights, I'm sure, because a lot of people sitting at home are studying now. It's a different type of distance learning these
Exactly.
days. So we used to have these correspondence courses in the olden days.
Precisely.
When once in a year probably we will meet for having a physical coaching. Now all classes are now held online, so it makes lot of relevance to know what the present day graduates, how do they think and how do they skill themselves.
That is why I've been telling people whether they liked it or don't like it. I've said that the pandemic has accelerated some of the things that people thought will happen in 7 to 10 years time. Sometime last year or year before last, I wrote 2 documents. One was called documents, as in they were some 6,000 word thing. They were written. And one of them was released by the Niti Aayog. One was the future of work. And there was another document that was released a year ago. Somehow it slipped out of my head. I think it was called The Future of Higher Education. It was released by the Vice President of India. And many things that we said there, I'm not taking any credit for it. Many things that we said there, which we said will happen in 7 years' time, 5 years' time, have happened in the next 7 months because of the pandemic. So in a way, pandemic has accelerated work from home. In a way, pandemic has accelerated self-learning. In a way, pandemic has cut size and distance. Just imagine today's program. Otherwise, somebody would have to fly out all over the place. So in its own little way, I think it has completely changed the way people work. I think 2020 would be really like the World War or like BC and AD. I think post-pandemic, pre-pandemic will be a defining moment in history.
Absolutely, sir. And your presentation was fabulous, very clear and very beautifully illustrated. I enjoyed listening to your presentation. I'll definitely again watch it on YouTube. So that is the benefit of the digital revolution. So we can, whatever we like, we can keep seeing them again and again.
Patabi sir, there's one question, which troubles me a lot. I read a lot of books. I have more than 500 books in my home. And I have been also thinking of writing a book since long, but I haven't written even a single page. But I would like to ask you that, you shared an example that 2,500 words you were able to write in few minutes. Right. And I have an author friend who was in South Africa and recently moved to UK. He also used to complete a book, in 30, 40 days. Many of his books have been published by Penguin. And recently in Dubai, I saw one of the friend who said that I started writing a book today, and he made the announcement that on August, I will publish the book. So books are of different type. It may take even 2 years, 3 years considering the research work. But what troubles me that if I say that I will publish a book in 50 days, will not the audience think that, okay, what kind of a book this individual may be, whether it will be well researched or not? And on the speed, if you can.
I fully agree with you. Somebody who makes an announcement that you do it in 60 days, I don't think it really works. Very recently, or in the space of the last 2 years, I have worked on 4 sets of biographies. All of them have been about chartered accountants. No, not all of them. 3 into 12, 36 bios of chartered accountants and some 10 bios of industrialists I have done. In all of these, we decided the date. We said this is the release date.
Right.
And we worked backwards. Okay? It can work in a situation like that because there's a pressure to complete. Otherwise, it just stays like that. But if you really want to come out with some very originally thought out thing where you want to write with significant detail, it takes time. But then there are all kinds of people. All kinds of people in the world. There are some movie producers who shoot and produce a movie in 3 months. There are people like Shankar who takes 3 years to do. So I think it's a matter of personal choice. Ultimately, it's the quality that will speak out.
Right.
And if you are planning to write, you must write, because there is nothing, I think, more self-actualizing than putting out one's thought on paper. And I can give you a free, unsolicited piece of advice. What time do you get up in the morning?
Sir, 5 a.m.
You get up at 5 a.m. So maybe 5:30 to 6:30, write. I write from 4:30 to 5:45 every day. Meaning when I want to write a book, 4:30 to 6. Maybe you can follow that. It works for me. I don't know whether it works for everybody, but you can do
Right.
it. And don't worry about how it comes. Write. After 6 months, you'll have material. At that point in time, sit and edit.
Yeah, true, sir. Thank you. Yeah. That in fact,
And
yeah.
I'm there in India. If it's a subject that I understand, I will help you with taking a look at it.
Yeah, first thing, sir, I thought that once you make it a community, then it makes a difference. So I also found 2 co-authors also,
That's
but
good.
all of the authors are a little bit here and there. Thank you. So hopefully, sir, your inspiration will definitely make a difference, and I will go back to my co-authors and say, no, now we have to make a competition of writing. Thank you so much, sir, for your time today. As Satyamurthy ji said that he will go back again and see, and the way you speak and the way you bring out the things makes a big difference in our lives, and you continuously keep us contributing in our lives, and that's so wonderful. All the young members who have watched today or will watch later, it will make a big difference to their lives. Thank you for taking our time. Thank you for accepting our invite. Thank you for being here. And we look forward to connect with you soon again, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. We move on now with a wonderful presentation that Panabi sir has completed. We are moving to a little bit serious subject, that how to conduct meetings productive. But I think it's the most important part. Personally, I feel that sometimes meetings are not that productive. It may get too long. We may be brainstorming things, but we may be already aware. So I'm keenly looking forward to what C.S. Satyamurthy has to share today regarding meetings. And before he shares his experience and knowledge with us, allow me to introduce him. C.S. Satyamurthy qualified as a chartered accountant in the year 1987 and completed his graduation from Madras University in the year 1984. He has recently relocated from Kuwait and currently based out in Chennai, where he is providing CFO services to SMEs in India. He is recognized as a high-performance leader and distinguished Toastmasters from Toastmasters International, USA. In his last assignment in Kuwait, he worked for one of the largest local group of Kuwait, which was Al Mula Group, for 13 years. He spent more than 2 decades in Middle East, spread between Kuwait and Oman. Before moving to Middle East, he worked for MNCs at Chennai, Bangkok, and New Delhi. In his lifespan of 55 years, there have been many people who have come into his life and shaped his character. He has always been a keen learner and endeavored the good things and avoid what makes him feel bad. He feels every action and reaction has some learning attached to it. He also does a lot of introspection. He follows the principle of observing and imbibing good traits of people with whom he gets to meet regularly, his family members, friends, colleagues at office, etc. There are many people out there who have played a significant part in he being what he is. His greatest accomplishments have been in the front of motivating people, instilling positive attitude, knowledge sharing, and creating team spirit. We are so happy to have C.S. Satyamurthy Ramanujam here. And I would request C.S. Satyamurthy ji to please come up, take the stage. And I request all the participants to please give a big virtual round of applause for C.S. Satyamurthy. Satyamurthy, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is there a facility for me to record what I speak? Is there a facility here, or there is no such facility?
No, I can get you your recording later. That's okay?
Yeah. I'm just asking. Is there a facility in this app? I don't know about it.
No. This app recording is happening, but that will not come to you.
I have no problem. I will take care myself. No problem.
Your camera is off, I think.
Is it on now?
Not yet.
No, I switched off.
Yeah, now it's fine. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Over to you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an interesting topic, which is relevant, especially during the pandemic times. Sorry, just a minute. Especially during the pandemic times, there are no situations in our work life where we are not required to attend at least one meeting a day. In fact, as a manager, what I found in the office is I could do my desk job only after the office hours, because most of the time I will be moving from one meeting to another. So meetings are basically integral part of our work life these days. But do you say that meetings only take place in our work life? No. We also have meetings outside of our work life, even when we meet friends and family members. But then there is a specific requirement when it comes to meetings that we hold in our work life, or some specific social meetings that we may have. For example, you may become an office bearer in the apartment colony where you live, and then there may be times you will be required to call for meetings and discuss. So any meeting will be useful for the time that we spend only if it is productive, only if it results in some solution or some target or some goal that it fixes and propels us to move towards that goal or a target, or some problem that gets solved because of that meeting that is being held. Especially in our professional life, there may be many times we will be attending a meeting or we will be convening a meeting to address things that affect us in the workplace. So let us learn today how to have a productive meeting. If you see the opening screen itself, you see the different types of meetings that we have. Like you may have a mid-year business report meeting amongst the managers and the board of directors and CEO of the company. Or you may have an expansion plan in the company, and to iron out the various points related to the expansion plan, you may have a meeting. And maybe you will be forming subcommittees within the company to address various parts of the expansion plan, and you may have meetings for that. Then tracking what's happening, the progress of any project, you will be holding meetings. Then you will have business meetings that are periodical. There may be meetings every month that are held. There may be quarterly meetings. There may be half-yearly meetings. Then meetings with your bankers, meetings with the financial institutions, or press conferences you may call, which is also a type of meeting. So let's learn how to conduct a productive meeting, because maximum of our time is spent in meetings. So why do we have meetings? First of all, let's understand. Meetings help us to eliminate confusions, because many a times, yes, on some issue or some policy that has been disseminated, we may have some doubts, some clarity will be needed. So to eliminate confusions, to give clarity, we have meetings. Then we have meetings to generate ideas. We may be thinking of a new project, a new plan for the company, or maybe considering buying a new software as an upgrade to our existing software that we are using in the company. Yes? I'm sharing my. Nothing is coming.
Yeah, we can see your video, but it's not coming on the screen. Can you switch off and on, Mr. Satya?
Just you want me to start all over again? Or? Yeah, okay. If you can see my slides, it's okay, no? Okay. You cannot see my face, right? Fine. That's fine. So what is not coming then?
No, it was not coming earlier. Now I think Satyamurthy ji, it's fine, right?
Okay, fine.
Right.
So let me start again. So why do we hold meetings? Meetings help us to eliminate confusions and provide clarity. Then meetings help us to generate ideas. Ideas when we are working on a new project, we are planning on something, some new software we want to install in the company, or any new process we are thinking of introducing. So it helps us to generate ideas from very many minds within the company to get the best idea, to select the best path for embarking on those projects or new processes. Then it helps us to simulate and stimulate the way in which we can deliberate and arrive at the best solutions for doing a project. Then it also helps us to clarify goals and objectives. We might have started a project, and there may be a larger goal for the project, and the objectives are there for the project. So to tell all the leaders within the company, different department heads, to tell them what are the objectives of that particular project or an idea that we are going to start on, and what are the goals, and when we have to meet those goals. To specify all those things, we will have meetings. Then we will have meetings to define the roles and responsibilities. Every project we undertake, every single work that is done in the company, we have to identify people who will take a charge of which aspects of the project, which aspects of the particular event that we are trying to manage or plan. And they have to fix also the responsibilities so that people become accountable. So to clarify these points, we need to have a meeting. Then solving problems. This is the maximum number of meetings in any corporate environment is held to solve problems, because most of the times when we do something from unknown areas, unexpected quarters, you encounter issues, or an irate customer will come and create trouble for the company. Then that may bring up a new issue that we have not so far seen, or a fraud could have been committed within the company. You may have to find out reasons why the fraud happened and then plug the holes for that. Or an internal control issue may require tightening. So a problem that may arise will require a meeting among the leaders to deliberate and arrive at a solution. Finally, many times meetings are also held to disseminate information. Imagine you are bringing a new policy for the company. Let's say on expenses reimbursement, the board has approved a new policy, and you have to tell people what are the changes now in the reimbursement of expenses. Or maybe there is a change in the house rent allowance payment to the employees. There is a change. Or maybe there is a change in the traveling allowance criteria, how, for what purposes travels are allowed, what type of reimbursements are allowable, which are not allowable, these kind of clarities, or perks and other reimbursement that you give to people. So on various aspects of these, you may have to tell the people what new change has come within the company. It may also happen that you introduced a new software, you have implemented a new software and wanted to tell about the new features that are available in that software. So to give the information also, you will hold a meeting. Now, when you have a meeting, you also want that meeting needs to be successful. So how a meeting can be successful? What are all the main ingredients that are there in having a successful meeting? The first part of any meeting to be successful is planning. As they say, by not planning, you fail to, by failing to plan, you plan to fail, is what is a famous quote is. So any meeting requires a pre-planning. Why do you want to have the meeting? How you are going to have the meeting? Who are required for the meeting? All these things are thought of in the planning stage of the meeting. Now, if you take the example of the meeting that we are right now having, Prabdeep Singh ji planned for this meeting at least 2 weeks ahead of the time, and he then started to look at who are the potential speakers, what topics they may speak, and what is the ideal time for them, which date is convenient for them. All those things he thought of and then planned an agenda, then disseminated the information to all of us. So we are able to assemble at this particular time and have the meeting. So planning is very, very important. Then opening a meeting. How are you going to start the meeting? How you are going to allow the meeting to progress? So the way you open the meeting sets the trend for the meeting. So opening a meeting plays a vital part in conducting a successful meeting. So opening a meeting requires you to decide the purpose of the meeting. Why are you going to have a meeting at all? Supposing an issue that can be resolved by just calling a person on the phone and discussing with him the issue that only relates to the two of you. Let's say between your department here, your department and another department, and the two heads can talk and resolve the issue. You don't have to call a meeting for that. It's a one-on-one talk and the issue resolves. But it is something which requires more people to be involved, more brainstorming is required, more people are impacted. You may probably need to have a meeting because it may have more interdepartmental connections and relationships. So to ensure that, you may have to create a purpose for the meeting. Why at all I am having a meeting? This is the very specific. It should not be general. We are meeting today to discuss the budget for the next year. It's a very, very, generalized meeting purpose. But if you say we are planning to have a 20% growth in our sales, how to achieve that 20% growth, we are going to have a brainstorming meeting today. Then people are focused, they know what to bring, what they have to think ahead of the meeting, and what materials they have to bring to the meeting to either accept this 20% growth or say that what are the impediments to that achieving that goal, or what is the realistic growth they can achieve. All those things they can bring in, or what resources they need to achieve that growth. They may think and come to the meeting well fully prepared. So stating the purpose in a crystal clear way is very important in conducting a successful meeting. And then how do you handle the meeting? See, the moment you put about 10 people, more than 2 people, let us say, in one room, and they all are going to discuss, because the minds are so different from each other, there may be conflicts coming within the meeting itself, right? So you are basically holding a meeting to resolve conflicts, to ensure and solve a problem. So meeting should not become a place where new problems are created, right? So it is not going to give you a productive meeting. So how do you, as a leader, lead the meeting in the specific path of the objective for which the meeting was formed? So how do you ensure people's participation? That also decides success of a meeting. And then how do you conclude the meeting? Because initially the meeting will start with the purpose statement, and then you will have discussions from various people, notes being taken, and then after the meeting is going to conclude, at that time you may have to summarize what happens in the meeting and specify clearly. So how do you conclude a meeting? And then how do you evaluate yourself or get a feedback on how the meeting was conducted? What are all the things that didn't happen as we planned, and how we can ensure that in the next meetings we will do better? So getting a evaluation and feedback. So all these things form major ingredients in having a successful meeting. So how do you start a meeting? Now, like I told you, first very, very important thing in conducting a meeting is stating the purpose of a meeting. So the purpose of the meeting should be very, very specific. So let us say in your company, there is a issue that customers are waiting for a long time to make cash payments in the cash counter. Now that is a big issue. So now you want to resolve how do we reduce the waiting time for the customer in our cash counter. Can be the very specific purpose. Once you say this purpose, what happens? You are basically zeroing in on everybody's attention to one particular problem that is affecting the company. What is the problem? The problem is customers are irritated and are frustrated because they have to wait for a long time to make payment to the company. So once you are told this, immediately you can start thinking about what issues create this enormous waiting time. Is it a software issue? Does the software take more time to process each receipt? Is there confusion in the queuing system in the company? Is it working properly? Or the timing in which the different cashiers are working, is it affecting the crowd in the cash counter? Maybe you have 3 cashiers, but they are not properly allocated. So because of that reason, the crowd is building up. Maybe some other reason why 3 cashiers are available, but one is always busy in preparing something else. Some other work he is doing. So 2 cashiers are only attending to the customers. It is building up the crowd. So once you specify, people can come up with reasons and solutions looking at the purpose, and they can contribute for the meeting. Then once you make the purpose is made very specific, you will be able to easily select who are the relevant people who need to attend the meeting. Because cash counter is having a problem. Cashiers are facing problem of frustrated customers. Customers are shouting. Customers are feeling that they are not being treated well. The cash counter is always full. Now, who should be present in that meeting? One of the person should be present in the meeting is the cashier himself, because he is going to give you the first-hand report on why these problems are occurring. He may come out with his issues that is making him to process a receipt slowly. Right? Then probably you may want to have a customer, one of the customers, to come and represent themselves and what problems they faced, or somebody who has taken a customer's feedback, maybe a customer service executive present in the meeting to tell you about what is the issue and what the customer's version of problem is. Then you may probably want to have the person who will take the decision once you all deliberate and come out with new ideas, what you want to do. Maybe the queuing system has to be changed. Maybe we have to upgrade the software. Maybe there are bugs in that. Maybe more cashiers should be deployed. So who are the stakeholders? Those people should be present in the meeting. So stating the purpose leads you to selecting the participants for the meeting. Then where do you want to hold the meeting? This is very, very important. Supposing you choose a location which is very convenient for you, but all the people whom you are inviting to attend the meeting, it should be convenient for them also. It should not disturb their flow of work. At the same time, they should also be able to reach the meeting easily. Of course, these days we are benefited by the virtual meetings through these digital platforms. We can have meetings, but then even if it is a digital meeting, a location here is the app which you want to use to hold the meeting, whether everyone is having that same app or all familiar with that protocol, whether everybody knows to use that app, maybe a guidance note to tell them how to use the app will all be helpful when in the selecting the location part. Then informing the participants. You made the purpose, you select the participants, you have decided where we are going to meet, which is convenient for all. Then you have to also inform the participants. If you don't inform the participants well in time, supposing you have selected the participants and just 5 minutes before the meeting you are telling them we are going to have a meeting. At 12:55 you call and tell that 1 p.m. we are going to have a meeting. They may be busy doing something else. So inform the participants well in time so that they will be able to note it down in their calendar, make an alert for themselves and attend the meeting. Also, one way of informing participants is also sending a calendar invite. These are tools available now in Microsoft Outlook and Google Calendar. In all these places, we can easily inform the participants along with the calendar invite so that they are able to accept the invite and confirm their attendance or suggest an alternate time to attend the meeting. So these are the vital points we have to take care when we are conducting a meeting. Then, okay, you selected the purpose, you selected the participants, you selected the locations, inform the participants. When the meeting is to be conducted, unless you have an agenda, the meeting will not be beneficial because the agenda sets the tone for the meeting. The agenda ensures that the meeting is flowing in the way it is supposed to flow, and we don't digress discussing things which are not relevant for the purpose of the meeting. Every meeting, I am telling you, should have an agenda. Only if you have an agenda, you will be able to ensure that the meeting flows in the right direction. Otherwise, unnecessary things will come up, and the agenda will also ensure that specific times are allocated for specific activities that are to be done inside the meeting. For example, the opening remarks of the person who has called the meeting, he takes 5 minutes time. And 20 minutes time, let's say it's a 1 hour meeting, you say that 20 minutes time is for taking individual opinions of each meeting participant. Then 15 minutes time for looking at each person's ideas or viewpoints and discussing on that, pros and cons. Then you decide that after all these discussions, concluding on one particular idea or two particular ideas which seem to be a right way to go forward, and then informing everybody. So like this you create the agenda, the meeting will progress positively and well. Now, what are the various types of meetings that we are holding? There are three broad types of meetings generally that are held in any organization. One is an information giving meeting. The information giving meeting is generally a simpler meeting. Why? Because maybe you are going to talk about a new policy that has been implemented in the company and you want to tell all the people, maybe the whole of the company is present in that meeting, or the department heads are only present in the meeting, or if within your department you are going to talk about something, informing your staff members. Example, a new staff has joined the company. There are two ways you can introduce that new staff to the staff members. You can call a meeting just on the day the new staff is going to join and make everyone sit and then introduce this new person and his capabilities to all that are present in the company. So you are giving an information to people that such and such person with such and such qualifications and capabilities has joined the company. Usually this happens, a new CEO is appointed in the company. Many times they send out a mailer as information. Sometimes the CEO is sitting there in one place and all the department heads are called and he is introduced to all the employees of the company. New policies. So a policy is told like this, we have brought in a new policy, new HR policy is here, and this HR policy specifies these things, and these are the reasons why we are bringing out this policy. Maybe you will have a question and answer session after the information is given out. The information giving also can be a press conference where you are disseminating information about your company's financial results to the press people. And you may be inviting the question and answer session. If you have seen the RBI governor's policy statement recently, it is an information giving meeting. He comes out and talks about the RBI policy and then reads out the whole policy salient points and then invites people to ask questions and answers them. So it is an information giving meeting. Then you have information taking meeting. Now, information taking meeting is a more frequent meeting in any company. What happens in information taking meeting? Let's say you have monthly review of business meeting. Now, in this monthly review meeting, usually what happens? Every department head is called to the meeting and the CEO is sitting there along with the other management team, and you basically make a presentation about the company's financial results. The salesperson may be presenting about the sales progress, what are the targets, how much they achieved, what impediments they faced in achieving their targets. Then the purchase person may talk about the supply chain issues, what problems they are having, is there a overstocking, what is the plan to clear the stocks. So like this, information will be given by the people to one person. So it may be information giving will be from top to down approach, and information taking meeting may be multiple levels to information flowing to multiple people or one person. So that kind of meeting will be information taking meetings. Probably as a finance department head, you may be forming a team that addresses bank reconciliation pending issues. So if you are holding a meeting to take stock of what is happening to the bank reconciliation issues, maybe you will be waiting for information on what was the number of pending items what were the pending items in the previous bank reconciliation review meeting, what is the current status, how many we cleared. All those information will be coming to you and then will help you to take decision on how to expedite things. So that is information taking. Then the most common of all meetings in most organizations is a problem solving meeting. What is a problem solving meeting? Frequently we encounter issues in the regular business of a company which may require a deliberation and rolling out new processes to ensure that the problems do not recur. If you see, 2 days before, HDFC Bank came out with yesterday I think, it came out with a press release that their HDFC Bank app was not working. Some problem was there. I can visualize that within their organization, the moment the issue came up, they would have called for a quick meeting to discuss on what affected the app, what are the issues, what are the steps to be taken, who is going to take responsibility on solving these issues, and how soon we can get the app back to work. For that, they could have called an urgent meeting. So that is an example of a problem solving meeting. Now, let's see what are all the steps to a problem solving meeting. Why we are focusing on problem solving meeting is this is the most frequent of the common of the meetings that take place in any organization. So what is the very first step in the problem solving meeting? Identifying what is the problem we are trying to solve. And the problem has to be identified very clearly and very specifically and easily understandable by any person. So like I gave you the previous example, customers waiting for long time at the cash counter, or our stock deliveries. When we make sale, the deliveries to customers are taking a longer period of time. Or the problem could be we are not able to meet the statutory requirements of filing our returns and forms to the statutory authorities. We are not able to meet their deadlines. So this is a problem. Or a software is throwing out wrong reports is a problem. So identifying the problem is the very first point in problem solving. Then analyzing the problem. What is this problem? Why this problem occurs? What are all the various ways we can solve the problem? Is the analysis of the problem by individually having our own ideas. We discuss that in a meeting, analyzing the problem and possible causes why the problem is happening, right? Then suggesting methods and ideas how to solve this problem. Now the suggestions will come from people who are present, and like I told you 2 slides back, you basically state the purpose and identify people who are going to attend the meeting, who are the stakeholders. So the people who are involved when they are attending, they will be very close to the problem. They will be able to give you the suggestions on how to solve this problem. There may be 1,000 ways in which a problem can be solved. As a leader who has called the meeting, it is your duty to take all the suggestions and then finally arrive at the most suitable and most viable suggestion to take it forward for solving the problem. That is the evaluation process of the various suggestions that you receive, and then selecting the best course of action from all the suggestions we received from these deliberations. Now, selecting also should not be a unilateral decision. Though you are the main person who has called the meeting, you have to take everybody's concurrence in the best course of action that you have selected. Now, how do you decided the purpose, you informed the people, everything. But to conduct the meeting in a perfect way, you have to first of all inform people the date, time and place. Never hold a meeting unless it is extreme emergency without a prior intimation and sufficient time for the people to attend. If you want specific people to be present in that meeting, it is necessary that we give them sufficient time to prepare and attend. So decide the date, conferring with them whether this date will be suitable, that time will be suitable, which is the place most suitable. Identify these things, because if you put them on wrong footing in the beginning by selecting a date and forcing a date and time on those people, they are not going to come to you with a good frame of mind to have a productive meeting. So ensure that you select it with concurrence and then inform them and reconfirm them these important things. Then purpose and why you are holding the meeting. What is the outcome you desire at the end of the meeting? This must be also informed to everybody, whoever is attending the meeting. If you don't tell them what is the desired outcome, the meeting will be meandering on. This is where the purpose statement helps and also the objective is met. And what do you expect them to bring? For example, like I told you, the customers are queuing up for a long time. Now, long time is a very general statement, right? So what is the ideal time you want the customer to wait? Is it 2 minutes per customer, 5 minutes per customer? What is the ideal time you feel that a customer can wait without getting frustrated? Now, to find out how to reach the ideal time, we should probably know on different times of the day how many customers are coming to the company. What is the queuing system says? What are the lean periods? What are the rush periods? During the lean period, how many cashiers are sitting there? During the rush period, how many cashiers are sitting there? So if these inputs are available with you during the meeting, you will be able to conduct the meeting nicely and reach towards your desired outcome. assume this information is not even sought, and suddenly during the meeting you say, how much time the customers are now waiting, and everybody is looking at each other's face because nobody has got that information. That information was not sought before the meeting. So better always inform the people and say that this is what I want to discuss, and I want this information from each one of you so that we will be able to take a decision. So the customer service guy will come with some inputs, the cashier will come with some inputs, the accountant will come out with some inputs about how many cash receipts are being cut, what is the high volume of cash, what time the cash is getting deposited into the bank, what disrupts the work of the cashier. All those things will be necessary to conduct the meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, what is expected? Each one what they should do. Once you conducted the meeting and you are going to take a decision, what is expected to be done after the meeting, and then what length is the meeting. Now, we said time of the meeting is nothing but when the meeting is going to start. See, many times what I have seen, I have attended thousands of meetings during my 35 years of work life. Now, many companies, they only have a start time for the meeting. They never have an end time for the meeting. It is very essential that you specify the meeting is for 45 minutes, the meeting is for 1 hour, meeting is for 2 hours, and this is the break time that is available. If you mention that, people exactly know what work they can plan after the meeting. They need to know because they may have other appointments to be considered. Otherwise, you will see people suddenly getting up from the meeting and say that, oh, sorry, I am getting late for another meeting, I am going. Do you like that? No, because you want everybody, all stakeholders to be present through the length of the meeting so that they can come with the exact free time and without any disturbance participate in that meeting. So specify the meeting length very clearly and adhere to that meeting length. Any special arrangements that are required. Maybe the meeting is for 2 hours and some people may be requiring refreshments every 30 minutes or 45, 1 hour, right? So ensure that these arrangements are already made. Do not rush for those special arrangements. Maybe you need a overhead projector. Maybe you need a laptop in working condition. Somebody is doing a PowerPoint presentation to present to us, right? And the laptop is equipped with the necessary apps. Excel is available, PowerPoint is available, Notepad is available, pencil is available, and the connection from the laptop to the projector screen is proper. It's all well set. It's all working. All those things should be ensured so that the meeting, when you conduct the meeting, it is conducted flawlessly. For example, today I came for this meeting. 1 hour before the meeting, I ensured that my PowerPoint slides are in place. It is working. It is flawlessly moving. I am able to connect to the meeting through BlueJeans app. All these things I ensured. What is the time of the meeting? I am already present before 20 minutes before the meeting. I ensured that silence is there around me. Nobody is disturbing me during the meeting. My phone is in silent mode, so no calls will come abruptly. All those things I ensured. Why? And also I ensured that the focus light is on my face so that all of you can see me. These special arrangements are necessary for every meeting that you conduct so that the meeting is held without any hindrance and any difficulties. Productive meetings, what should they have? First of all, any productive meeting should establish a very friendly atmosphere. Now, if you conduct a meeting in a hostile atmosphere, two department heads are always fighting and they are sitting in the same meeting and each one is blaming other. So set the platform in the beginning itself. We are working towards solving a problem and not trying to create a new problem of one person resigning at the end of the meeting. I am going out of this company. All acquisitions are there. Do you like that? You don't want people to go away from the company after the meeting. You want people to go away happily, having the satisfaction of solving a problem and enjoying that sense of happiness, satisfaction, achievement that they achieved something in the meeting. So ensure that there is a friendly atmosphere that is created in the meeting. And you start the meeting on time. Like we are, a lot of us, Rabdeep ji, myself, we are all Toastmasters. I urge all of you to find out a Toastmasters club or take the initiatives in your company to start a Toastmasters club, because Toastmasters club ensures that you adhere to time, and once you practice that regularly, it will be in your blood that every meeting will start on time. Most of the time what happens is that the time is mentioned in many of the meetings that I attended in my company. I come and sit there at 10 o'clock, I call the meeting at 10, till 10:05 nobody is turning up. Slowly they are talking to some customer, and then when I call, they will come. What we do is, we have a rule in our company. 10 o'clock meeting means it starts at 10 o'clock. Whether A, B, C, D, whoever is present with them, the meeting will be started. That way, what we do is, we embarrass the person who didn't attend the meeting on time. So what happens? You started the meeting, the slides are going on, discussions are going on, and then somebody comes and I'm sorry, I forgot the time. So he feels embarrassed, right? So ensure that for nobody the meeting waits, because you have set the agenda, you have set the length of time. People have their priorities; they need to attend to other things, right? When I used to be attend the meeting, I had check signing authority in the company. So when I sign the checks, only checks can be given to the customers. Now I allocate 1 hour time and say that I go for this meeting and tell my people that 1 hour I am not available. Before I go, whatever checks are to be signed, please take signatures. And I'll come after 1 hour and inform customers that 1 hour after only other checks will be given. So people all know when I will come back, when I will sign. Now I go into the meeting, 5 people did not turn up on time. Because of them, I am stuck that I have to extend my time for half an hour more. Am I disturbing only my time? No, I am disturbing customers. I am creating dissatisfaction with other people. Maybe I have given time to have a meeting with the bankers, which is more important, and I am sitting in this meeting. So also put yourself in the shoes of other people. Maybe your sales manager has got a meeting set up with a dealer. He has to go and talk to them to how to increase sales. He may probably have a new plan. So you cannot make him stuck to your meeting just because your meeting is not conducted on time, right? So you start on time and end the meeting on time. And then if it is a continuation meeting, let's say sometimes when you do a project, you will have a meeting that is done about a month back. Again, you may be reassembling and taking stock and telling them what happened from last month to now, what decisions we took and what is happening now. And then you are progressing from here to what you are going to do in this meeting. So bring them up to date. Maybe somebody was not present in that previous meeting, right? Or maybe they have forgotten what happened. Maybe their roles was limited, right? Their role may start after this meeting only. Last meeting they only were taking stock. Now they are participating. That their responsibility may be starting from this meeting onwards. So bring everyone up to date. What did we do? Where we are now? What we are planning to do in this meeting? And then this is very, very important. You will have to bring the attention of everyone to the meeting with your initial statements. That is very, very important. Let us say the fire department has issued a notice for the company because we didn't have proper fire extinguisher equipments in the company. Now that is threatening our work in the company itself. So how do you bring people's attention to the meeting and get them to solve the problem? You say that our company may close down in 1 month if you don't address the fire extinguisher problem in the company. Then everybody is worried. Oh my God, already pandemic and we are going to lose our job. So people will immediately clue in to solve the problem, right? Or you can say that our sales in northern region is falling 20% consistently for the last 4 months. If we continue like this, we may have to close the northern region office. Our sales will be affected. Now that brings people to the to immediately attentive to what we need to do. So start with the attention getter. Then productive meetings also need that you introduce the problem for everybody's clear understanding, right? Any problem is there, your initial remarks will tell them that these are like I told you, sales in the northern region is falling 20% in the last 4 months consistently. So these are the reasons why we feel this slide in the sales has to be arrested. And if we don't arrest, this is the impact, because northern region used to traditionally contribute the highest sales for our company. Now, if we don't have that sale, our profitability will go down very fast. So now we need to address the problem, how we are going to increase the sales of northern region and what should we do for this. Now everybody is up to date, they will be able to contribute. Stating the problem properly and well introduced is very important. Also the purpose. So what is the purpose? Sales is coming down, sales has to improve. What do we need to do? And then participation of all the people present in the meeting is very important for success of the meeting. If somebody is let out, right? They left out. They are not contributing. Somebody is silent, and you are not even attending to that person. Only one person. Sometimes in meetings, what happens? One or two people will take charge and they will keep talking. They will not allow anybody else to talk. Listen to me, like that. They will interrupt you and they will keep talking. So you should ensure that everybody is given time in the meeting, and nobody's presence is considered less important than others. Because once you have called people into the meeting, each person who is present in the meeting is important, his views are valuable. Otherwise, you don't call them, right? If somebody who is going to just sit there and observe, you don't have to call them. That person can very well sit outside the meeting and do his job on his desk. So, if you have called, involve the person, take that person's input. Some people may not voluntarily easily come out with their ideas. So, you have to have techniques of asking probing questions so that even that person is participating and involving in the meeting, right? And then how do you discuss the problem? What is the discussion method? Are you going by round robin method? Like you ask one person, then go to the second person, then go to the third person, keep noting down each person's points, and then once again come back, take this one point, discuss with everybody, then take the second person's viewpoint, discuss with everybody. Or do you take the point and shoot down then and there? Because that is not a good method to do. Somebody is coming out with the viewpoint. Don't give response. Take the point. Then finally assimilate all the points. So and so has told like this. And which one of this you feel is good? I feel that these three points are better points to look at now. And this is the reason. So you create the discussion method. It sets the platform on arriving at the conclusion. Now, what are all the qualities you need to have to be a good meeting leader? Who is the meeting leader? The person who convenes the meeting, who is having the objective to arrive at a solution to a problem, right? Basically, in the problem solving meetings. Now, he needs to have a poise. Poise means what? You need to be confident. You need to know what you are talking, and you need to be very clear on what is acceptable in the meeting, what is not acceptable in the meeting, and also ensure that you are not communicating these things in a very brash way. So you don't put down anybody, you are confident, at the same time you are not arrogant, right? So if you are showing arrogance, people will feel belittled. Because in a meeting, if somebody is belittled, that person is going to feel very hurt. So that we should never allow to happen. Sensitivity means you have to be sensitive to each person's viewpoint. Some points may come out which may look frivolous for you, but the person who is telling, he thinks that that point is very important. Because not all the people think in the same way, right? So be sensitive to each person's concern, each person's viewpoint. Take it down with equal importance. Then reason out to the person that this is not viable because of these reasons. So the person will feel happy that his point was considered objectively and then it was rejected because of various other reasons, or because some other person's viewpoint or idea was better than his. So you have reasoned out this. Be impartial. This is very important. Usually what happens in meetings, I have seen this regularly, So one or two people may be blue-eyed boys of the company, right? So usually people present in the meeting will think that even if I tell something, they are not going to listen. Ultimately, his view will stand. This impartiality you would have also faced it when you attended the meeting. So when you are conducting a meeting, you should ensure that there is no partiality in the meeting. Impartiality should rule the roost, because then only everyone feel equal, everyone will feel that they contributed to the company's ultimate goal, objectives. Then you need to be tactful. When you're rejecting somebody's viewpoint, tact is very important. Sometimes you have taken all the points of views, and maybe you have a point of view, and that is what you want to impress on everybody, right? You want people to buy it. Then after taking everybody's point, because maybe those points of views are not acceptable to you or not practical, so you have to tactfully reject them. Maybe you say that this we will try first, and the other course of action, maybe if this fails, we will keep it in the plan B, we will keep it in the plan C, or I will combine this and that together and do something like that. And always have a sense of humor. In my previous presentation, it's available on YouTube. You can go and see how to use humor to be successful in the corporate career. So always have, crack some jokes. When you are discussing problems and tempers are being flared, at that time a little joke here and there, and then making a self-deprecating comment on you, not on others, will help cut the ice and bring people to loosen up and talk to you. And then ensure that you have good judgment skills. Means when you are evaluating various ideas, if you select the wrong idea, what will happen? The problem can, instead of solving the problem, you may create new problems. So ensure that you have good judgment. For arriving at the good judgment, it is always better to have deliberations, discussing the points, good pros and cons, and then deciding the best one is the good judgment way. And then you need to have good listening skills. Somebody is talking, you are called meeting, and you ask people to give you their opinions, their feedback, or they are presenting their information, their analytical inputs, their analytical reasoning, their analytical inferences, and then you are shooting them down. In between, even before they complete, you are interrupting them. They are not going to be feeling happy, and they are not going to contribute in your next meetings. So be a good listener. Again, revisit 2 weeks before me and Shubhashri presented a presentation where we talked about sense of humor and active listening skills. Revisit that YouTube video and see that and develop good listening skills. This is very important for a meeting leader. And then how do you have good discussion techniques? Ensure that everyone is participating, no one is left out in the meeting. That doesn't mean that you do not stop people who meander on. Like I told you, there may be some people who will be talking, they will start talking, like me now presenting, they will never stop talking. So at that time, Pravdeep ji will come and say, Sam, you are going more than 1 hour. The time allotted is very less. Please, can you cut down the presentation to quickly, can you wrap it up like that? So without intruding, with a sense of humor, you can slightly tell them that, boss, I think there are 4 more people to talk. Can we come back to you again? Or can we have another meeting? Can we discuss this offline in my room? And also ensure that there are no personal attacks that are made within the meeting, because you are trying to solve a problem, not create a problem. And promote an open atmosphere. Open atmosphere is what? Everyone should feel confident that they can participate in the meeting, contribute with their ideas, and they will not be considered as a person who is not required in the meeting. So they are also important, and there will not be any vindictiveness after the meeting. Supposing we are discussing about a customer service problem, and then the points that are given by, let's say, a salesperson or an accounts department person is going to be taken personally by another department manager, then it will create an issue, right? It will create an animosity. So at the beginning itself, we tell them that this is a meeting to solve a problem. Please be open, and I request all the department heads not to take offense on anybody expressing any views, because unless we have the open, transparent discussions, we will not be able to get the best solutions. Right? So create that atmosphere of bonhomie and friendliness, transparency, openness. After all have given their points of view and discussions have completed, as a leader, you should do the summarizing. So if you have to summarize, how you can summarize? You can only when you actively listen and take notes, individual person's names and what they said and what are the pros and cons, and then what we arrived at finally, summarize that to everybody so that all are in the same page. They know that this is what we discussed, this is what finally is the outcome. And then use transitions. Transition is nothing but, like I told you, one person only talking. Ensure that the baton is passed on to somebody else and all are participating and individual points of views is coming. At that time, if you have to take a feedback from somebody else who is involved in that, take that feedback from the other person. These are the transition techniques so that everybody is made to involve. Now, another discussion technique is asking questions. Because when somebody is telling a point of view, if you say, supposing you don't feel that convinced or you want everybody else to be convinced, because sometimes others may not ask questions. You can ask, okay, you feel that the location of our cash office is the reason why crowding is there in the cash office. So what do you think? Should we move to a larger space for the cash office? Something like that, you ask a question. And then he will come out with the answer. No, if you put chairs for people to sit outside, it may probably reduce the crowd near the cash counter. He can come up with a solution for that. So ask questions on every step. And then test solutions. What? This is simulating the solutions. So you say, okay, you saying this. Then can this be a solution for this? Like I told you now, he says crowding is a problem. So can we put chairs outside the cash office so that people can sit? And can we put some magazines there so that people are able to read? Is there a television set kept there? Can people watch programs while they are waiting so that they don't feel frustrated? What can we do? Can we provide them some piped music and they can listen through AirPods kept in the company? Something like that you ask, and then feedback will come. No, people will take the AirPods and go away. So each simulated thing, people will come up with reasons why that is implementable or not implementable, viability and practicality. And then keep the meeting on track. This is very important. People should not digress from one to another. This will regularly happen in any meeting. Whatever we try to do, some people will come up with something. And also, people may be seeing WhatsApp or Facebook during the meeting disinterested. You will have to ensure that anybody can be called to give an answer to a particular point that is being discussed so that they will be attentive all the time. And then most important thing in any meeting is getting a consensus. So consensus sometimes can be 100%, sometimes it may be majority view. So if you take a majority view, also convince the people who are not voting in favor of, who are in favor of the decision that you are taking, convince them that this is the best in the present circumstance that you can take. Most people are buying in. Try it out. If it doesn't work, we will meet again and we will again relook at what we have implemented. Right? So this kind of approach will help you, and consensus is very important in any problem solving. If there is no consensus, the problem is not solved. And then plan future action. This is the most important part of any meeting. Usually what happens, in the meeting, the pads will be there, people will be having pens, they will write down everything, they will say, I will do this, I will do that. And then after they get out of the meeting room, they get into the regular routine and they may not attend to what was decided before. So in the meeting itself, you decide, these are the things these people will be doing, and they will be followed up through email by my secretary or by me. Every 2 days, 3 days, we will be taking the progress report, and we will be meeting 1 week later to assess what we did before. So unless you do these steps, the other person will not be able to complete these steps. So I want total cooperation from you. These are the deadlines. These are the timelines for doing these things. So agree on those actions as well. Finally, when you conclude the meeting, so you wrap up the meeting by indicate a time and date when the next meeting will be held, if you want to have another meeting to discuss the progress and inform everybody how the decision was implemented and what is the outcome of the decision. So this should have sufficient time. Suppose a new policy has been implemented. You cannot have a meeting 3 days later to find out what is the outcome of the policy implementation, right? Or a new software is implemented. You cannot have a meeting within 2-3 days. So maybe there is a sufficient time gap should be there from the time you implemented a solution to the time you review. So assess that and then have a new meeting. Again, you state the purpose. The meeting is to assess the outcome of the problem solving solution that we implemented. We want to assess its effectiveness. That should be the purpose. Have a new meeting, call people and have a discussion. Review the problem again once more so that people are aware and what is the solution that was taken. Summarize the progress of the problem or the solution that we have taken, and then also ensure that you tell everybody what agreement we reached and they all bought into that agreement. There is a consensus and the consensus have been agreed to by all the people present. And then post meeting, you may have to create a minutes, right? Either you write the minutes or, like for example, right now I'm doing the presentation. After the presentation is over, 15 minutes later, Pradeep ji sends a small message in the WhatsApp group saying that we had a great presentation today by Satyamurthy and CA Pattabhiram, and people were all informed about these things. Now, this tells others who didn't attend the meeting what happened during the meeting, how the meeting was, and what outcome happened in that meeting. This is very, very essential. If you don't have this, then there will be a record that will be missing. I'm just giving you as a joke about this meeting and Pradeep ji's message. But then in an official meeting, if you create a minutes and then say these points were discussed and this is the outcome, this is what we agreed, this is the future course of action, this is when we are going to meet again to assess the progress. It will keep everybody who are interested in that particular aspect on track and aware. Then thank people for contributing to the exercise, and so that they are again, whenever they are called to contribute to you, they will be available for you. Now finally, after the meeting, everything is over, there is one small step you may have to do, which I do all the time. Every time, let's say I do a management meeting, I do a presentation, and then my presentation is for about 15-20 minutes about the financial progress of the company or the budget actual variances and where we slipped, where we did well. Afterwards, I call my other colleagues and ask them, how was my presentation? Was I clear? Did I explain everything properly? Was any information missed out? What can I do to improve my presentation next time? Do you want any particular item to be added in this? Anything that is irrelevant being told. So please give me a feedback. First of all, I assess myself. That's why I asked Pradeep ji whether the video will be available, because I will go and watch how did I present in this meeting today, where all I made mistakes, where I could have done better. That is a self-assessment. Then you take the assessment from an observer. Who is an observer? When you are presenting, all the people present are observers. So I will go and read the comments in the YouTube channel. So what people are writing, this fellow sucked. The productive meeting was the most unproductive meeting I attended. So I will see all those so that I can get to know what is the feedback from people for me to improve. Finally, from the participants, this you would have seen many, many times. Whenever you attend a seminar or the training program in the office, the faculty who comes, at the end of the meeting, he will send you a feedback form and tell you to fill up whether it was good, bad, ugly, what things you enjoyed most, what you didn't enjoy, what additional things you want to add, which other new programs you want to listen to from the same person. So like that, you can take a feedback from participants. Now in this, it's an official meeting. So from the participants, what you ask is that how the meeting was conducted, everyone was able to, were allowed to involve, anybody was left out. Did you feel that you were left out? Did we not address your concerns well? All those feedback will help you to improve in your next meeting. With this, my presentation comes to an end. I do hope this meeting was productive for all of you. Thank you very much. Anybody has any questions? I am ready to answer.
Thank you so much, Satyamurthy ji. There's one question, but I'm not able to identify at what time it was asked. The question is by Bhavana. She says, what if that person is important and have major role to play in meeting?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. What if that person is important and have major role to play in meeting?
Okay.
That may be, when you were saying that we start the meeting,
okay.
ignoring someone, maybe at that point of time she might have asked.
I understand. See, this is a very important question. For example, we are going to have a management review meeting of the progress of the company's progress. Monthly it is reviewed, and the person to whom we have to present is the CEO. Right? Now, I cannot start the meeting making the presentation without my CEO, right? I cannot start that meeting. But then, this is not a meeting called by me, right? This is a meeting called by the CEO, right? Who is the leader of that meeting? The leader of the meeting decides who is the important. The most important person for any meeting is the leader of that meeting. In case somebody is very, very important, his inputs are very vital for you in that meeting, all you can do is that you can make a concurrence from the remaining participants, find out if the person who is not yet arrived can arrive within few minutes, because you can always manage, because when you prepare an agenda, this I forgot to tell you, always prepare the agenda with some slack, because what happens is, like Murphy's law, you prepare everything to do well, right at that time something will go bad. Okay, so I saw few presentations in the last few days. Right at the time the presentation was being made, maybe the audio was not coming all right, video was not coming all right, it has to be interrupted, and then the speaker has to be told that this is not coming well, then he is repairing all those things, then after that the meeting starts again, right? So build the agenda with a slack, so that the idea is that you have a fixed timing for the meeting. Okay, the meeting agenda should also build in the slack. For example, I said if you have a long meeting of 3 hours, have a tea break or coffee break every 1 hour. Now you are giving a 5-minute break for coffee. Usually people will not come back within 5 minutes. Meaning the CA Institute would have done so many seminars, Prabdeep ji. Do people come back immediately? No. Till last minute they will be coming with the teacup and biscuits to the chair, right? They will not immediately assemble, right? So what we do is, we tell 5 minutes, but we actually factor 10 minutes in the agenda, so that people can still come and join. Then at 10 minutes end, you start it. Even after the slack, you should not wait. Then you should probably decide if the person is very, very important, you will have to cancel the meeting and reconvene the meeting at another time, because the meeting cannot go on without purpose, delayed and eating on everybody's time, right? If he is the most important person, if he is not present, we being present for that 1 hour, we are not going to contribute anything productively. Better is we stop the meeting and have our productive work done, right? So reconvene the meeting again and communicate it nicely that the meeting could not be held because this person was not available. It is possible that the important person is sick. That is why he couldn't come. Maybe while he was driving, there was an accident, he couldn't join, right? Or maybe he is in a remote place. Sometimes these days you can also involve the person through video conferencing, right? You can ask him to call on a video call, and then the meeting deliberations he can continue. If that is not possible, cancel the meeting, right? And reconvene.
Thank you so much, C. Satyamurthy. And you were mentioning about your last presentation humor. Today also you created a lot of humor that was on June 5th, and I can remind all the participants that they know that in recorded webcast area also it's available. If they are finding it difficult to find on YouTube, they can check. All can check there. So very serious subject, but you made it very interesting, and thank you so much. That's why you are said to be humor champion. I really need to learn a lot about humor from you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for taking out time and encouraging our young members. You are young by heart. That's why we say to you, Sam, and I look forward to have you
Yeah.
again soon.
I don't die. I don't die. That's why I'm young.
Yeah, in your introduction, we say in the last 55 years. I'm not sure whether that's correct. I have only somewhere and written. So whether you are 55 or more, I do not know. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me remind the participants that tomorrow on the 6th day of this batch, we have 6 speakers and 1 moderators. We have a panel session from women leaders in UAE who are from different industries, including banking, industry, audit and assurance, consulting, academia. So there's a lot of things which we will learn about opportunities overall and abroad. And then we end the day with by CA Sanjay Gupta, who's from Bahrain and who will talk about communication, a key to success. So please be here with us tomorrow. Take good care of yourselves. This program under the vision of Chuk sir and Kabra sir has made all this possible, and your active participation will keep us encouraging to do great things. Thank you so much. Take good care of yourselves.
I just want to say a small point from the.
Yes,
I just thank the CA Institute and the committee for members in industry and business to for having an opportunity to speak to them and contribute my little bit for their self-development. And this platform is very useful. And thanks for the CA Institute and the committee and its chairman and vice chairman and yourself for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you all. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.